You know that moment when you are doing your practice and instead of feeling powerful, it feels like you are trying to convince your fear to calm down. Exactly like your brain is whispering, be realistic. Don't be disappointed again. Yep, that's what we are talking about today. Because what most people call blocks or resistance isn't actually that. It is just your mind doing what it's always done, what it's used to, replaying the version of you that it knows best. It is not destiny, it is not a sign, it is not the universe guiding you towards something else or testing you. It is just a comfort zone, familiarity. So if you've been feeling stuck in love, money, self-worth, even though you do know the law of assumption and how it works, it is not because you are doing something wrong. It is because you are still creating from self-protection, not from identity. Welcome to the Mindful Shift podcast. I am Leopoldine, mindset and manifestation coach. And this is where we talk manifestation from a mindset first. No pressure place, no forcing feelings or beliefs, no high vibe chasing or your higher self, and no spiritual gymnastics. Just understanding how your assumptions, your thoughts create your reality and how to shift them with clarity and ease, and also self-respect. If you are self-aware but exhausted from overthinking or repeating the same patterns, you are exactly where you need to be. At least twice a month, I help you rewrite your stories with grounded mindset tools inspired by the law of assumption, so you can finally manifest the love, the success, the life you know you are meant for. If you want to explore this work more deeply, all of my digital coaching and tools are in the link below in the description. But for now, let's shift your inner narrative together. Here is the one thing I want you to keep in mind today. Fear isn't something you need to eliminate before you get your dream life or whatever this is you want. You don't need the perfect thoughts. You don't need the perfect emotions. You don't need the perfect beliefs. You don't need to feel high vibe or your higher self. You just need to think at the version of you who knows they are safe. And that starts by seeing fear for what it really is. A familiar thought pattern, not a prophecy. So in this episode, we are going to break down the subtle ways fear sneak into your assumptions, even when you try to align your thoughts with what you want or try to feel positive. What it actually means to create from stability instead of panic and to be consistent, and how to become the grounded, bravest version of yourself who no longer creates from fear but from clarity, calm, and identity. So let's talk about what is happening when your affirmations feel like they are fighting you when actually they aren't. You know, when people tell me I've been doing all the things, affirming, visualization, I've been doing my technique, but nothing is happening. There's nothing changing in my reality. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I always pause, because most of the time they are not doing anything wrong. They are just doing something new, something they are not comfortable with, and their mind is just doing what minds do, pulling them back towards what feels familiar. Because here is the thing, when you're changing your assumptions, your mind will argue back, especially at first. It is not because you are failing, but because you are shifting. And that back and forth, it is not resistance. It is your mind trying to maintain what it knows, your old thoughts, your old beliefs. Because that's security, right? For it. It is not because it is destiny. It is not because it is a test. Not because the universe is blocking your blessings, but because your mind is used to one version of you, and you are asking it to accept another. And that transition, it often feels like fear of the unknown. But fear doesn't mean you are failing. Fear often means that you are just unfamiliar with the version of you who actually gets what they want. And unfamiliar doesn't mean impossible. Doesn't mean nothing is happening behind the scenes. Let's make this practical. If all your life you've been thinking something like, love never works out for me. I have always been unlucky in love. People always lose interest in me. I'm never chosen. I am always the one who cares most and reach out. I am not the type who gets chosen anyway. It's always over people, not me. Or even with money. I can never get ahead. I'm always struggling. There is always something to pay. I'm just trying to survive here. Big money? It's not for people like me. Your brain didn't think these thoughts because they are true, but because you have experienced them over and over again and accepted them as true. They are simply familiar, automatic, practiced, something you return to because even if it makes you feel bad, it is still a comfort zone. So of course, when you are choosing your thoughts, I am always valued. I am always chosen. Money always flows easily to to me. I am so rich. I always get what I want anyway, no matter what. Your mind is going to react to that and argue back, right? Not because it's trying to sabotage you, but because it's never been in that identity before. It's unknown. It's not comfortable either. And sometimes it shows up in a very human way. Maybe you just send a text to your SP and you start to spiral. Maybe your SP start to pulls back and your mind just filling with the worst case scenario directly because that's what you're used to. Or you are fearing being disappointed. Maybe a bill comes and suddenly your entire identity shrinks and go back to what you know. That's not intuition. That's not the universe testing you. That's just familiarity. Old thought patterns. That's all it is. Your old thoughts showing up. And this is where most people quit. They are so defeated directly that they mistake discomfort for danger. They mistake unfamiliar for impossible. They mistake the old story voice for the truth. You don't have to accept that anymore. It's just the past. And here is something really important. The older story gets louder when it's known it's been replaced. Or at least that's what I experienced. And this is also when fear sneaks up into manifestation. It is not most of the time the big dramatic fears, but on the contrary, the subtle ones, the quiet ones, the ones disguised as logic, reality. Just be realistic. This is not what you are seeing right now. Manifesting isn't about you feeling magical. It's about stabilizing yourself in your new assumption and choosing for yourself a better story, something in your favor for once, and doing it long enough for it to bring you proof in your reality, for it to become your new default thoughts, the one you return to dominantly, consistently, not perfectly. You don't need to believe it on day one. You don't need to feel it in any way as true for you. You don't need butterflies, chills, or even any signs outside of you. You only need one thing: repetition and also consistency. Because repetition builds familiarity without you forcing anything, and familiarity builds your identity. That is exactly all you create. You don't need to attract anything. You don't attract anything actually. You just create things from your thoughts. And you are not waiting for something outside of you to agree with you. You decide for yourself because you are the one in charge, no one else. You are teaching your mind a new story. You stick into it consistently, not perfectly, coming back to it as much as you can until that new story become automatic. The dominant one you return to without even thinking about it. So if your mind is familiar with, I am always the one left behind, I'm never chosen, then of course you totally should start telling yourself, I am always chosen no matter what, in every single situation by everyone, period. And your brain will definitely go, wait, no, that's not true. That's not what we experienced before. Should I remind you? Do you remember that breakup? And do you remember that ghosting? Well, that is not a sign. That's not even evidence. That's just past experience, past thoughts. But that's not who you choose to be anymore. It just holds stories being loud because it does know it's being replaced. Keep repeating your new story anyway. Just repeat it. Even robotic way. I give you robotic affirmation link here. I made an episode about it. And slowly, because sometimes it feels like it, but again, you can change that and make your own rules. No matter what, it will shift. If you persist, if you're being consistent and you repeat yourself long enough. Not because someone else changes, but because you did. You stopped creating from fear and you started creating from your power that you always have. You became the version of you who doesn't panic, doesn't chase, doesn't guess, just know and choose for themselves. Now money, same principle. If you are familiar with, I have never enough, and you start telling yourself, I have more than enough, I am always so rich. Your brain will at one point absolutely remind you, no, do you see those bills? Or are you getting them paid? And every past struggle, every moment where you felt behind. But the more you are choosing the new thought, again and again and again, consistently, not perfectly, the more your mind will become accustomed and familiar with abundance and see proof of it, even if not directly to you, instead of scarcity. And at one point, in the most natural way for you, it will become your new truth, just because you think so. And it will become something you are used to think and believe now, because you've seen proof and proof and proof again, even directly to you. Your reality will prove you right. And this is why bravery matters. Consistency matters. Bravery is not acting fearless. It's not never feeling fear ever. Choosing the new thoughts, even when the old ones feel louder. It is saying to yourself, I hear you, fear. Okay, but we are not doing that anymore. This is not who I choose to be. That's the past. No, I'm choosing differently for myself. You can still fear and decide who you are. It is choosing Stability over spiraling. And you do that as much as possible. Power over panic. Clarity over guessing. Identity over circumstances. And that's what changed everything. Because the moment you stop reacting from fear, you stop recreating the same patterns. You stop repeating the same relationships. You stop repeating the same financial struggles. You stop repeating the same self-doubt. Your life cannot stay the same when your assumption change. It is the law. Your fear doesn't disqualify you, but your consistency do transform your life and yourself. Your thoughts grace, not your feelings. And you don't have to believe it at first. You won't 99% of the time, unless you start to have proof in your reality. Your mind gets familiar with what you repeat consistently, so becomes the grounded version of you, the stable version, neutral if needed. I have an episode about how feelings in manifestation works, but you become the version of you who creates from clarity, not crisis, which chooses identity over insecurity. The brave version of you isn't the one who is fearless. It is the one who doesn't let fear narrate the story for them anymore. And that version of you, they always get what they want. You are not becoming them. You are remembering them, because this is who you are deep down. You are a master manifestor already. You just choose to be fully. Alright, bestie. If today's episode helped you see your fears differently, and I know it did, or reminded you that you are not failing, because you are not. You are simply shifting. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And if you want to support the podcast, the best way is honestly just to like, share, and comment under this video. It really helps the message reach more people who are on the same journey as you. And remember, it is not the end until you get what you want. Until next time.